A little baseball skit for those people who I'm sure you know it. It's all about baseball. So Nathan has a really interesting perspective on this whole idea of baseball and how it hits home for those people who I'll let you just go ahead and take over for that. Go ahead.
So I when I exercise, I listen to different lecture series, and I was listening to one called Turning Points in American History. And it was really interesting. I learned all kinds of different things. It was really good. I didn't learn so much about American history when I was in school, since I went to school in Canada. But it's things like the Boston Tea Party, the Industrial Revolution, Civil War. And then there was one lecture on baseball. And I went, really? Like, come on, that's a stretch. But he made a really convincing argument. He started talking about baseball and how that has really shaped American culture. Talking about like, how many movies do you know where it's all about baseball, or has some kind of baseball reference, or music, or comedy sketches? I mean, there are tons of them. Yeah. Expression, the thing that really, I was like, okay, I'm in. Started talking about expressions. When you talking about like, oh, that guy's way out in left field, and be like, oh, that I got a single, got a double, that was a home run. I mean, there are tons of them.
A bad real estate deal is a strikeout, right? Like you just like nothing to do with baseball. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that one was a curveball, whatever. I mean, there's so many that are out there. So when he started naming off some of these expressions, I went, oh, that is really like, talk about permeating the culture, that it has taken over a good section of the language. And if you say that one was a strikeout or that one was a home run, people know exactly what you're talking about. And so I thought that was really interesting. So I'm in. Absolutely. So gurus. Here's the thing. You come home from a baseball game and everyone talks about the home runs or the grand slams, or like, that's the thing. Those are the highlight reels. That's all the stuff. So when you're listening to a guru, if you're in a weekend class and you hear somebody talking about all these home run deals, well, yeah, because they're the fun ones. But the reality is that most of the deals, and Dave and I have talked about this a lot, most of the deals we do are singles and doubles. Of course, we get the home runs, and those are a lot of fun. And of course, we get the strikeouts, because that's just part of investing. But the reality is they're not all home runs. Yeah. And everyone can do it. All right, real quick, just wanted to put this up here. This is something I came up with a few years back. Just kind of showing the game plan. Anytime you get into anything, you want to make sure you got some kind of a plan. This is a flow chart that I'd put together. You can pause and copy it down or whatever you want to do.
I know they're listening to podcasts. Let me know. I can get you a copy of it so you can see it. Just shoot an email over to me or Nathan.
Yeah, but just showing, one of the things that I love about notes of the many things is that there's just so many options. You've got so many exit strategies compared to owning just a property, where we've got tons and tons of different ways that we can get out of the node, versus on a property, you can rent it or sell it. You can, flip it. Your options are far more limited. So I love that about notes. So this is just kind of an illustration of how that works.
Awesome.
All right. So we'll get into some case studies. This one's mine. Yeah. REOs. Okay. So this one was a strikeout. This was one that unfortunately didn't make any money. Fuller Avenue is a vacant real estate. So in that case, I have to foreclose on the property because I own the note, not the property. So I have to foreclose to take it back. Bought this one for $80,000, and I knew about a property tax bill out there for $7,000. So that's fine. I was aware of that and no problem. We thought that the house is worth something like $150,000. When it came down to it, though, we only sold it after we took it back and went through the whole process. Ended up selling it for about $110,000. So not nearly as much as we thought. Overall, the other factor in here, and I don't know if I've got a point for it, but the other factor in here is there are all kinds of city liens that were not showing up on the title report, which I was not aware of. So I didn't know about these city liens that added to the expenses. End of the story is it was an overall loss of about $3,600. It's not the end of the world, and I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that, but it was a small loss. So I don't love that kind of idea, but it happens, and just want to put that out there that yes, sometimes you're going to lose money on these deals.
Yeah, not every deal is a golden situation, right? It
No.
just it stinks, but
It's
it is
just
what
how
it
it
is,
goes
right?
sometimes. So initially it was a good plan. Everything looked good. We had these city specific rules and things that we had to jump through, and these liens that we weren't aware of. And that contributed to that loss. Let's look at Dave's.
Yes. So we're gonna dive into another strikeout situation that we got involved with. So when we look at stuff like this, we really focus on the fact of we want to go into with all our eyes wide open. However, we've run into situations that sometimes we know about, sometimes we don't know about. In this situation, I was guaranteed, I knew the property, I knew the issue. What can go wrong? I knew when I bought this asset that I was going to have to file an insurance claim on it. Talked to the seller was aware of it. I had the date, the time, everything locked in that I'm going to go ahead and file an insurance claim to get this property. We bought it with the idea of the fact that it was a vacant non-performer. I'm going to foreclose in Indiana. Purchase price is 50. We knew about the water damage. Value is 80. We're going to foreclose in a short period of time and kill it.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, we ended up selling it for $32,000 as is. What happened? From the plan of going forward with the insurance claim, once we bought it, we went ahead and talked to our insurance company and said, we'd like to file a claim. And our insurance company, same one that was on the previous seller's claim, said I couldn't. And I didn't understand why. We filed claims before on other people and never had a problem. Well, we found out, and I spoke to the seller, there was nothing he could do either. This was under a different kind of forced place insurance policy. We did a webinar on that difference before, but the forced place policies, there's two different kind of policies out there, and the policies matter, right? And we've talked about this before, but depending on which policy that forced place is, there's claims made and there's occurrence policy. A claims made policy ends when the seller ends and sells a deal. That no longer any claim can be filed. An occurrence-based policy, you can file a claim anytime during that policy period. Doesn't matter. Well, we couldn't do anything with this. We had no exit strategy, right? So we ended up having to take it and sell it as is with the water damage in Indiana. And to top it off, this was with IRA money. That stinks, right? So we didn't expect it to be that bad, but it was. And it is what it is. We learned our lesson. So now, in part of, I'm just going to make this a little larger for people. In part of it, what we learn now is we ask every seller what type of forced place insurance they have. They can get a policy just to prevent any kind of future issues, concerns, problems we may have. Right? So we ask them, and they oftentimes is why. And give you some gracious, we have not run into too many issues of having claims made. There was a servicer plan, but just to give you a heads up, that can cause an issue. So yes, big strikeout. I plan to file an insurance claim on this, went forward with it and couldn't. Stunk.